I'm going to start with just, this is not a reading. This is just something that Ruth shared with Priscilla and me Friday morning. She sent me a video of her 3-year-old grandchild who was looking in wonderment at a plate of cookies and carrots that her dad was holding down at eye level for her. And all of the cookies and all of the carrots had bites taken out of them. And they had left those things out for Santa and his reindeer. And her parents were saying, "Look, Santa ate the cookies. He took bites out of them." And she said, "Oh, that's strange. Why did he do that?" And then she proceeded to eat the rest of his cookies, which I thought was exactly the right thing. Hopefully Santa wasn't carrying any communicable diseases. But it was just about the cutest Christmas morning video and scene that I could imagine. And then I turned my attention to today's assigned Bible reading for a very different kind of Christmas mood. It's about what happened after a group of astrologers called Magi followed a star of interest that drew them towards Bethlehem, looking for something they thought it foretold. But they didn't go visit that family until they had first stopped off in Jerusalem to ask King Herod what he knew about this new king of the Jews who had just been born. Sorry to ruin the Christmas afterglow. This is the assigned reading for today from Matthew chapter 2. Now, after the Magi had left the family, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, "Get up, go with the child and his mother, flee to Egypt, and remain there until I tell you, because Herod is about to search for the child, trying to destroy him." So Joseph got up and went with the child with his mother by night. They went to Egypt, and they remained there until the death of Herod. This was to fulfill what had been spoken by the Lord through the prophet, "Out of Egypt I have called my son." Well, when Herod saw that he had been tricked by the Magi, he was infuriated. So he sent and he killed all the children in and around Bethlehem who were 2 years old and under, according to the time that the Magi had said they found that star. Then what had been spoken through the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled. A voice was heard in Ramah, wailing and loud lamentation, Rachel weeping for her children. She refused to be consoled because they are no more. When Herod died, an angel of the Lord appeared again in a dream to Joseph in Egypt and said, "So get up, and you and the child's mom, you can all go back to the land of Israel, because those who were seeking the child's life have died." And Joseph got up, and the family went back to the land of Israel. But when Joseph heard that Archelaus was ruling Judea in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there. After being warned in a dream, I don't know why they just tell him in the first dream, but after being warned in another dream, he went away to the district of Galilee. Then he made his home in a town called Nazareth. And this fulfilled what the prophets said, that he will be called a Nazarene. That's the reading. Merry Christmas. It's not clear from the historical record whether Herod actually ordered this hit on Bethlehem's children. There's nothing written down about it except for this one spot in Matthew, not even in any other part of the Gospels or the New Testament. Herod doesn't get any credit if he didn't actually do this. There is no extra credit, because what does show up in the historical record is bad enough. For instance, the ancient historian Josephus records that Herod ordered the death of his own wife and children, and also decreed that when the time came and he himself died, that in order to put the region into proper mourning, they should also kill the leading citizens of the city of Jericho. So Herod was not a wonderful, warm ruler. So whether or not he ordered this, he was a bad dude, and it's not outside the realm of possibility that 20, 30 children were killed in and around Bethlehem. It was a small town, so beyond the notice of most people. Either way, historical record or an act of creative license by Matthew, the story reminds us that Christmas requires us to hold a paradox. That there are great joy and beauty in this world. There are well-cared-for children who feel the wonder of the myth and see the evidence of the cookies and carrots in front of them and feel a certain magic on Christmas morning. And there are tremendous suffering and injustice in the world. That these things are true at the same time, and that God is present in them all. It's easier not to read this Christmas story. This is the one we'd like to keep hidden away, like that offensive uncle at the holiday dinner. It's always an uncle, right? I don't know why that's the default. It's always the uncle. But Christmas calls us to something more than just stories of a jolly old elf and stockings hung by the chimney with care. That's what the story reminds us. That the joy and the tenderness are important, but so is our response to the rest of it. So here, right in the middle of the part that I've done, is the part that you all are going to do for me of a sermon. I'm going to invite us to consider a few questions together. You can do this in pairs or threes or whatever makes the most sense to you. I'll let you organize yourselves. Folks on Zoom, we're hopefully going to turn off the sound in here so you can talk amongst yourselves freely without hearing us and without us hearing you, and because we don't have the wherewithal to figure out breakout rooms this morning. But these questions up on the screen, there are three of them. They'll stay up there. What contemporary stories do you hear echoing in this, I'll call it horrible, Bible story? 2, recognizing there's much suffering in the world. Is there an organization or a movement that's inspiring you these days? And why? And then where and how do you see this congregation making a difference in the world? And how do you think we can improve this? In the upcoming year? Can we drag that window down so that missing word is grow? There we go. Grow in this in the upcoming year. So maybe we can mute Zoom and then mute the computer so Zoom folks don't hear us talking and we don't hear them, and we'll all come back in, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 minutes. That sounded like it was winding down. It also sounded like good conversation. Okay, folks on Zoom, you can hear us again? Okay, great. So most of it seems like it's wound down. Folks, I'll invite folks who are still going to just remember where you were and keep these conversations going later, because these are good conversations. So those we named. I imagine you pretty easily named some things that that this story feels like maybe echoes. Hopefully you all came up with things that are inspiring to you, groups that you can support or groups and movements you see out in the world, and we're able to at least think a little bit about this congregation. That's the part of the conversation that I really hope will keep going on later. So in commentary on this Bible story, the Reverend Boyoung Lee names presence as its key characteristic. She writes, the Christmas story does not promise us a world without Herods. I mean, it's right there in the book. Herod is right there doing what Herods do. But it does promise us Emmanuel, God with us, even when we're running. The presence of God does not remove the threat, but transforms how we respond to it. And then I think the fact that we're considering this story on what for us is a communion Sunday only serves to highlight how the Jesus story from the front end to its back end takes place within the violent desperation of empires. Before the glow of new parenthood had worn off, Jesus and his family had become undocumented refugees. And then the bread and the juice that we will share tells a story of crucifixion. But neither of the stories is reduced or reducible to only the suffering and only the pain. Each of them tells the story of God's presence within, ultimately frustrating the brutal aims of empires and violent men. So hold on to those precious and tender Christmas morning memories. Hold on to the warmth and the wonder. But know too, we already know this, that the news cycle doesn't stop. The world's pain is still there. So is ours. Hold on to the difficult and the good together. And maybe let them all, or let it all be permeated by, finally I'm getting to our other reading, by the Christmas prayer written by Howard Thurman. When the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flocks, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among the people, to make music in the heart. And this is God's good news. Amen.